Marriage is a mirror and a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
Marriage reveals selfishness, and then kids.
Oh, even
Every
more-
single
yeah.
kid, you realize, oh, I'm a little bit more selfish than I thought I was.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Pastor's Hangover. My name is Melissa, and each week we take this time to chat with the teaching team at Grace Family Church, get their wisdom and insight, and answer your guys' questions on the last week's message. So with us today, we have Pastor Hal Mayer.
I just like that she said we have wisdom and insight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
good.
us.
That's
Well, how
us.
many years you been
Wow.
married?
18.
There you go. You got some wisdom and insight.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit.
You at least got insight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pastor Daryl Black.
I'm here.
How
Let's
many
do
years
this.
you been
How
married?
long you been married?
28 years.
All right.
And the Craig Altman.
Oh, B.
And
Now
Debbie
it's
Altman.
B.
How long were
Yes.
you guys? Have you been
43 years. And he said, not an argument either, like my marriage. No arguments.
No
married?
arguments.
No arguments.
It's
for
amazing,
43
smooth
years.
sailing.
Because you couldn't find two more
Wow.
different people
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. I
not
mean, I
have an
just
argument.
realized she was always right. So why argue? So,
I love that.
yeah, most
You love
women
that?
do.
I love that.
Most women do.
Well, I'm excited. We're going to talk about marriage today. Pastor Daryl had an incredible message this weekend, mastering marriage. And I don't know if mastery is possible in marriage, but we're going to find out today
Oh, yeah.
and chat about some of the key takeaways and talking points. Do you want to start, Daryl, just on some of your thoughts on the message?
Yeah, I think, using master the marriage, it simply means that you know all the tools necessary to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what most marriages miss out on is they either don't learn them or they don't know them
Mhm.
because their parents didn't give it to them. And it's not even that all parents did a bad job, but sometimes parents don't do the work of saying specifically, this is what you need to work on
Yeah.
in your marriage when you're ready to get married. And so for me, saying what mastering is, it is over my years and some of their years and the years that I've borrowed from other people. And like, when you look at it all together, what are the things that you know you're going to absolutely need so that you can be successful? Because awareness is half the battle. So now if I know what I need, then I can be intentional about trying to achieve those things in my relationship. So that's what it was the premise of.
And I think the best thing you said is the very beginning, the foundation. You know, if
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
if you're if your view of marriage is wrong,
Mhm.
if you have the wrong ingredients, you're always going to be.
Right.
It's you're not even aligned right. And
Right.
so we do come unapologetically from a Christian based worldview on
Yeah.
what marriage
Absolutely.
is supposed to be. And when Daryl said love God first, I was like, of course. Let me tell you what that means to me. When I love God first and I'm in a situation where my wife and I are in a conflict or I'm mad at her or upset and I don't want to forgive, listen, when I love God first, he loved me and he forgave me, and it convicts me
Yeah.
to keep a soft heart towards my wife. And
Yeah.
if you don't have forgiveness daily in your marriage, things build up like the pipes or something. It gets all clogged.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so that's why that's such a powerful start. The foundation
Yeah.
has to be how be imitators of God. What does God do?
Mhm.
He forgives us when we don't deserve it.
Yeah.
I mean, let's go. I mean, man, we can start
Mhm.
there and,
Absolutely.
you know,
Yeah, if my love and
Mm.
forgiveness for my wife is based off totally on her and what
Yeah.
she's done, it's not going to be the love and forgiveness that she needs. In the same
Right.
way,
Yeah.
if she loves me based off of just
Yeah.
me, that's not going to be a great marriage. Like
Yeah.
it is, and God says it's not based on what they're doing
Mhm.
and how good of a husband or wife they are. It's based off your love for me,
Yeah.
which is hard to do. It's
Yeah.
hard to do because everything in our culture today is I'm going to do this based off what you've done for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you said it, I'm going to marry you because you make me happy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to change.
That's
Right.
Absolutely. That's the thing. And it changes throughout marriage because even what you're looking for. And so it has to be based off God the entire time.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So that was a great start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even when you shared the goal of marriage is not happiness, it's
Right.
holiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said that's why they call it holy matrimony.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh.
And that freaks people out. But
Yeah.
what I think he was trying to say, the expectation is different. But I believe you can have the outcome of joy
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and happy times.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but if you're always focused on that, then when things aren't happy, you're looking for an exit.
Right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking for an exit, looking for somebody else, or this person hasn't given me
Yeah.
what's going to fulfill me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and it's both of us adding into what is the marriage. When we define the marriage right, then you go, oh,
Yeah.
so this is what it's supposed to be,
Yeah.
as opposed to, like I told the story, I don't know which service I said it in, But my wife and I, we've counseled couples who were going to get married, premarital counsel, and they've said to us, hey, we're going to try this out for a couple years, and if it doesn't work, we've already decided we're going to get an annulment or get a divorce.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, then you don't know what marriage is.
Yeah.
So then if you're already planning your out, then
Yeah.
you don't understand what marriage is. And so
For better or worse, man. You know?
understand and what we take those vows, better or worse, but what we really mean is better or inconvenience.
News.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because as soon as it gets to the point that you don't like it, then you go, hey, I tried, I did my best. Wait a minute, but you said better or worse.
Yeah.
So that means even in the worst, you still have to be here, be committed, and it can get better. We've got a couple in our couples ministry right now that were divorced for 7 years and got back together
That's cool.
because of a message that they heard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She was coming to church, had been coming to church, heard a message, and she was like, nope, that's still my husband. He was at another somewhere else hearing this message. She was like, if we're going to get back together, let's do this the right way. We've been apart. Now we're going to get back together. So
There's hope.
there's
Yeah.
hope. There's always hope. I had a guy meet me on the pavers this weekend, and he said, man, I wish I'd have heard this message 2 years ago, but it's too late for me now. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I've already gotten divorced. Me and my ex-wife still come to church together, and we bring our kids. And I said, wait a minute. I said, is she married? No. Are you married? I said, no. I said, it's not too late then.
No.
And he started tearing up. I said, you can start right now. So let's trade resources.
Right.
Let's trade information so I can get you the resources that you
That's
need.
awesome.
Brother, it's not too late.
Yeah.
But he's like, I wish I'd have known the right foundation. Well, now you do.
Yeah.
So now let's do it.
Because we've made it so we don't realize it's a covenant between us and God.
Yeah.
Not a
Yeah.
promise, a covenant, which is not something that you break. Because we do. Everything in society says it's not that big of a deal. Because we have all the shows now, The Bachelor, 90 Day Fiance, all that kind of stuff. People getting married before they see each other. It's like, no, guys, that is not the way it's supposed to be done. And even so, like I've even noticed this in certain ceremonies I've been at where they do their own vows, but there's no vows in it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've
seen
listened
those,
to it and they just told their story and I'm like, you didn't say any vows.
Right.
You didn't say, wait, can we add some vows? Not that, because whether you like it or not, you're admitting to those because it's a covenant between God.
Yeah.
But it is a vow. I've decided to do this for better or worse. It's really, you don't realize that when you're staring at your wife for the very first time and you're like, this is going to be perfect because I'm amazing and she's amazing.
Yeah.
And then you get married.
Yeah.
But it's we're deciding to do this no matter what we're walking through. And I'm going to love you, not because of the fact that you're perfect, but because God is. And so it's tough.
And I think there's always, that brings up the question, okay, I made a vow to God, but is there ever a time that I can be exit a marriage, whether the biblical reasons? And I'm not going to go through all of them. The one, obviously, the Bible talks about is adultery.
Yeah.
But even in that, there should always be a heart for restoration. I'm not saying it has to be, but and then the other one, and I'm not going to include scriptures, which is really verses that refer to, there's some things that refer to abuse.
Yeah.
You know, it could be physical abuse and the threatening of your own life, and that really ties into the idea even of abandonment and addiction.
Yeah.
These are all the A's, because when a person is so addicted to something, they're not even present in the marriage. That's almost an abandon. And there's some things but most reasons people get divorced are not for that.
Oh yeah.
So that's why that's a small percentage and so yes, there are those, you still need therapy and you need to be healed from all that.
Yeah.
But I've even seen some of those, it's a miracle some of those work out. So there are times that you got to go, man, this is not it's not working, but most of it is we file out of love. We just don't get along anymore. We have different
Irreconcilable
views.
differences. Yeah.
There's a lot. Yeah. And
we went different ways.
that part, man, I think we have to really go, okay,
Yeah.
I might need to dig in a little bit here. And because, I hear all the time people on second marriages, and we have God's grace. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And they go, I thought my second marriage, they go, you know what? Same set of problems. You know why? Because we're all sinners. There's brokenness in all of us. They say the grass is greener, but the water bills are higher.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard a
You know
guy
what I
say, if I would have tried
That's
this
right.
hard in my first marriage,
Yeah.
it would have
Stay.
been so much better.
Yeah.
Because it has. I've seen
Wow.
people who have gone through
Yeah.
extreme, like bad situations and infidelity and stuff like that, but are now incredibly strong on the other side. And so we don't just throw marriage away. And the idea of irreconcilable differences,
Yeah.
it's like not at all.
Yeah.
Like because you're going to have that with anybody.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's no one that you're going to get along with everything they have to say.
No.
And so that idea, it's impossible to love someone if you're going to have differences.
Yeah. It comes with it.
Yeah.
We live
Yeah.
in a culture that really teaches you it's okay to give up quickly, but we're not supposed to live according to the world.
Right.
God has a higher standard. It's a covenant, not a contract.
Yep.
We go on and on. We're not condemning people that have
No.
gotten a divorce, but it's not better.
No.
You know, it's most of the time is going to be able to work through it. You know, and I know people that work through it, paid the price, and go, we're so glad that we
Yeah.
hung in there. It's still not perfect, but it's way better than the alternative because
Right.
we see our friends
Yeah.
We
that
do.
you know.
And
Yeah.
the not understanding of what happens when you get divorced and you have a family.
Mhm.
Just and I realized that dads
complications of
see,
all that.
well,
Yeah.
dads get to see, oh, wait, I don't have the same influence that I had before. Or moms, I don't have the same influence. Or they just got remarried. And so there's another influence in my kid's life that I didn't think of
Right.
before.
Mhm.
And so you're not thinking down the road. You're just thinking, oh, it'd just be so much better on the other side.
Yeah.
And then I mean, what happens when they get married and Christmases and Easters and all this kind of stuff? You're not thinking about, I have to split those now.
Yeah.
And I don't, you're not realizing, I think it's so many times we don't realize what we're giving up
Right.
in those moments.
Because here's the thing,
Yeah.
comes back to what you said. I just want to be happy.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not really going to make you happy.
No.
Maybe temporarily,
Yep.
Right.
but then you're going to have the same stuff.
Over
Yeah.
and over
Absolutely.
again. That-
So-
again,
So-
this is why you got to have the foundation. When Jesus is telling the disciples about marriage and what it's supposed to look like, when it gets done, the disciples go, "What? That's what marriage is?"
Mhm.
Yeah, and the disciples say, "If that's marriage, I don't know if we want to do it."
Mm.
Because even back then, people had the wrong idea of what marriage was.
Yeah.
And Jesus didn't say, no, guys.
Mhm.
He was like, no, yeah, it's that serious. It's a covenant. And when you walk into it and understand that it's a covenant, your decision about who you pick to be in a covenant with changes.
Yeah.
You do more than just, I want to hook up with this person because they make me happy or they sexy or I might have cute kids with them.
Yeah.
You go, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
We are supposed to look like the church.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I've got to re-examine me, and am I really prepared for this
Yeah.
kind of covenant with somebody?
Right.
So,
Which,
Yeah.
as a side note, is the reason why we date differently as Christians too.
yes,
And we've got there's a bunch of messages on that. Or if you go on the Exchange podcast, there's a bunch there.
Mm-hmm.
We date different, not because we're trying not to have fun
Yeah.
or anything like that. It's because we want to make sure we're picking the right person for who they are and their love for God, not just because we
Yeah.
want to see them naked.
yeah,
Right. But there needs,
Yeah.
let's face it, we want to have the physical attraction, but that's not the
Absolutely.
base. That can't
Yeah.
be the only basis.
Right.
of a
Come on,
relationship.
Craig.
Yeah.
We got to
Well,
have
you
physical
know,
attraction.
exactly. Well,
yeah, no.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm gonna move on here.
yeah. Just keep
We're
going.
going to change the subject. Okay, so we've laid the foundation, right? We had Jonathan's message, The Art of Marriage, and then Daryl's message, Mastering Marriage. We'll link them all in the YouTube version so you can go back and really, experience the foundation.
Mhm.
And then Daryl shared, okay, your marriage is either growing, it's stuck, or it's dying.
Mhm.
So, what are some practical tips that you guys have during those 3 seasons to nourish? I think was the word you used in the message, right? Nourish your season and help you get to that growing phase. And I'm sure a lot of households had 6-second kisses.
Yes.
This
I
weekend
did
I
this morning.
felt
Yep.
my husband counting in his head, and
Ah.
I'm like, just it never needs to
That's
end.
so funny.
And so what are some practical tips that people can take away and implement really to get into the weeds like you
That's
were talking
good.
about, Craig?
Go for it, guys.
You already said kissing, that 6-second kiss, that's practical. Hugging for 20 seconds is practical. I did it with my wife this morning, and when I'm hugging her, and after about 10 seconds, her shoulders released. It's just that moment to go, okay, we're here. And I know, I think sometimes couples get caught in we have problems, so we can't do that. or we're frustrated with each other, so we can't do that.
Mhm.
Listen, you can have a successful marriage and still have problems.
Yeah.
Your marriage cannot be problem centered. So you have, the bigger picture is, as I said before, yeah, you got problems, but I'm not the problem. You're not the problem. The problem is the problem. But we're not going to make our marriage problem focused. So we're going to do the stuff. We're going to plan a date night, like I said. Plan a date night, even though y'all might be in the middle of a big argument. Plan a date night and don't talk about the argument.
Mhm.
Talk about why you love each other.
Yeah.
Talk about things that you want to accomplish and your goals and your dreams. Talk about that. We'll get to the problems eventually. And sometimes those problems need outside attention.
Mhm.
You need a counselor or a therapist or a pastor to come in and help you
It's
navigate.
unbiased. Yep.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you don't have the skills to deal with the problem.
Right.
Read your Bible together. Pray together. And do these things for like 30 seconds, 60 seconds. Like I've had couples go, I don't want to pray with him for 5 minutes. Then don't. Pray with him for 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Like every little bit you do is going to create some nourishment in your body. Like there's 6 human needs, and 3 of those, one being certainty. Certainty knowing, I know you love me. And so Tracy and I have gotten into arguments where we need to walk away from the argument. But before we do, I'll say, or she'll say, hey, I love you. I love you, but I can't do this right now. So you need the certainty. You need uncertainty, which means you need variety. You need to know that you're going to switch some things up. Tracy and I started getting to this practice. We go to First Watch every Friday on my day off. So we go, we have breakfast there. But while there is a consistency to that, I order something different every time.
Yep.
And to just blow her mind, blow my mind. It's like I'm gonna order something different. That there's a variety. You need to shake things up every now and then and just go, we're gonna do something different. I know you go to the Denny's and you get the $4.99 every week, and that's your thing. Why don't you cook breakfast in bed? Why don't you go get Denny's and bring it home? You need that variety, and then you need connection. You absolutely need connection. So what ways are you all connecting with each other? What ways did you used to connect with each other that you're not doing anymore? Because job, kids, bills, whatever those things are, that you can go, hey, let's just go for a walk. We used to do that. Let's go take a car ride. We used to do that. And I think when it comes to nourishment, people always want to think of these grand things. Oh, we got to go on a trip. No, sometimes it's just
Simple.
go on a ride in the car and just go sit at the park and start simple. And then the accountability is invite other people. Small group. Who's your emergency contact to go, yo, I need you right now to weigh in on what's happening in our relationship and just help us balance these things out.
That's good.
So you have to have those things in your relationship for them to be successful.
I think he's kind of addressing maybe the stuck group. I think there's a dying group that they're saying, man, I don't, number one, want to hug them for 20 seconds or kiss for 6 seconds because of some past hurt, bitterness. And so where does that group go? And I'm just saying you're going to have to dig deep and go, it has to start with, we got to sit down and have a conversation and really confess our faults to one another. Almost a time of forgiveness, a time of going, we're gonna dig deep, because only through the power of God's love do I want to forgive you, and really have a time where we go. The only way we're going to be able to start over and get to that point is by kind of clearing the slate.
Yeah.
It can be difficult to do. That's why sometimes a counselor is good to help you through that.
Yeah.
If you can do it on your own. I've seen couples do that. I had a guy say, what we started doing, we started taking communion together.
Wow.
And they would break bread and he realized, and I get emotional because he talked about how they realized how much God had forgiven them in spite of their sinfulness.
Yeah.
And they said, God, we know we've both done wrong to each other. And I notice I said both. You may say it's all him or all her. It's always two.
Yes.
Yeah.
To think it's only one is kind of prideful and arrogant. Now, it may be 80-20, but own your 20%.
Yep.
But don't tell him or her. It's on mine's only 20%. But that forgiveness part is a huge first but difficult step.
Yeah.
But if you can get that will get that relationship from a dying to now, let's start building again. But you can't build on something if you got all this unforgiveness and bitterness that God can help you get through.
Yeah.
So that's for those, I would say that would be a a huge first step.
Yeah, I think the big thing is don't allow your feelings to drive your commitments or your choices that you're going to make that day. Because if you allow your feelings to do it, then you're only going to get further and further away.
Yeah.
Never have you been in a bad situation and then decided not to talk to that person and it got better.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to do this until we get to that place.
Yeah.
Because I've heard people say before, it's like, yeah, I didn't want to hug them, but after you hug them and you continue to do that, feelings start to change. Feelings follow commitment.
That's
Yeah.
good.
They follow those things. And so we're going to start with it's communion or reading the Bible or doing it. It is that coming together. Allow the feelings to follow those things. Don't allow the feelings to determine them.
Yeah.
Go, this is what's important. This is what we need to do. And then allow the feelings to come after. Trust that God's going to do that. I think that's what we lose.
I think God
is we don't
honors
believe-
faith.
right.
That's faith.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
going to love
Yeah.
in
Absolutely.
faith right now.
It's a faith that God said, this is what's going to happen when you do this.
It's good.
I think a lot of times it's our lack of faith.
Yeah.
Well, God's not going to fix this.
Yeah.
Why? Why do you think that? God absolutely can fix it.
Yeah.
But it always follows a step of faith. And that step of faith is that commitment to sit down and do this. And look, if you're doing it together, verbalize it. We are going to, every morning, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Men, verbalize these things. Hey, we're going to make this commitment, because we're the ones that just go, well, we started doing that. And the wife go, I didn't realize we were starting something. Now, if only one of you is, and I know there's the example of those, one that's not going to church and one that is, it's not that you're verbalizing, hey, I'm praying for you so that you'll change. It's you're choosing to do that. But when both of you are on the same page of, hey, we need to work on this.
Yeah.
This is how we're going to start. This is what we're going to do. And allow God to bless
That's
it.
good. So you got some questions, I think, don't you?
We do. So many questions, so little time. We have a question on submission, which I would love to get your guys' perspective on. But also, you gave us a big old cliffhanger this week, Daryl.
Mm-hmm.
You said, I have 8 points to this message. I'm only going to get to 4 of them.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can get back to those at the end of the podcast. But the question was on submission. My husband, and it could be, vice versa too, but my spouse, or in this case it was my husband, isn't providing me the kind of man that I want to submit to. What would your advice be?
You started 1 Peter chapter 3. It talks very much to the woman and to the man about not having a spouse who is what they need to be. It's
Or maybe
following
even a
God.
believer. Yeah.
Following God the right way. And what he says to the woman, to the wife, is continue to be a light that shines. And he says your husband will be changed by what he sees. Now this is, again, it takes a lot of faith and trust to go, I'm going to keep living the life that God called me to live, even if my husband isn't. And I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. I've been in those relationships. I've seen and counseled those relationships. It's not easy to keep doing what God has called you to do when your partner is not doing it at all.
Right.
That's not easy. So the Bible never says it's easy, but he does say if you're committed to being faithful, to going, hey, just keep doing what God called you to do, that what you do will be a representation of Jesus Christ. And it has the potential, a very high potential of changing your husband. And I had mentioned that a couple weeks ago in the podcast, Pearl Hudson.
Yeah.
We had the lady come to church who was her husband, who was not a follower. And while it took 10 years before he changed and walked in the church and accepted Jesus Christ, man, her faithfulness, I wonder what their life would have been like if she gave up in 6 months or a year. But it took 10 years, and she didn't know it would take 10 years, but she kept being faithful, and it changed her husband. And then it says, likewise, husbands, treat your wives with understanding. So even if you have a wife that's not where you think she needs to be spiritually, it says treat her with understanding. Even if you don't understand it, you treat her with understanding, and you still treat her with the grace of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And so, again, it's not easy, but there is a pattern. And if you're faithful to follow that pattern, God will show up and he will give you the grace to continue to move forward.
It's a hard position to be in. That's why we, again, push to small groups, find a group of women who can encourage you, be with you, because that is a difficult place to be. But that other version says, and you will win that unbeliever.
Yeah.
Through your good works, through your love, they're going to see it. And, God's working when you don't see him working. And if you sow by faith that good attitude, good seeds, even though he's not doing his part, You just do your part and let God do His. And
Yeah.
but it's hard.
And I would say this too, even on the side of the worthiness scale, that's a sliding scale based on who you talk to.
Sure.
And so, and here's a couple things. One, submission is not obedience. It's not saying you just obey everything. And submission is not the submission that God's calling you to do is never to do anything that's unbiblical.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And so if your husband says, we're not going to church, that's submission is not doing that. The kids are never going to hear about God. Submission is not doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
But it really is. It's respect. It is amazing. I'll say this to women. If you show respect to your husband, how much different he will act.
Yeah.
Because it's in those moments. It's one of the reasons why so many husbands, I believe, slink back and just become observers, is because they feel like what they say is not respected in any way.
Yeah.
Not that it has to be done that way, but it's not respected or even seen as a viable option. And so, yeah, we're called to submit. The women are called to submit, not out of who the husband is, but out of who God is.
Yeah.
And I think that's hard. We're not saying that's easy.
Yeah.
And in the same
Yeah.
way, for a man to sacrifice for a wife that is not
Yeah.
doing the things that God has called her to do, that's not easy at all.
No.
But it's what we're called to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know they were probably hoping for a better answer, weren't
Yeah.
they?
But I think my favorite part of the message was what you kicked off with. 100% of marital challenges can be solved by reading the Bible and doing what it says.
Mhm.
You know, so it's all in there. A personal question for you guys that we got. What is the biggest obstacle that you faced that held you back from cleaving your spouse? Also, tell the people what the word cleaving means, because it sounds violent.
Sounds like a cleaver.
Yeah, it sounds
Like-
violent. Attacking.
There's a
What
lot of
keeps
people that
you
have been
from
like,
attacking yourself?
I could definitely. That sounds so wrong.
Well, cleaving, it has a double meaning. It's purposely. So it means to cut and to connect. And so I don't know that I did it in the message, share that in the message. But when Adam says, I'm going to cleave to my wife, he's literally saying, I'm going to sacrifice myself. I'm going to cut myself so that we can be added together. And so I'm going to make myself, it's the same thing when two trees are grafted together. You cut one so that you can add the other one to it. And this is what Adam is saying. I'm willing to sacrifice, which is an interesting thing where I thought about this now.
Yeah.
Adam is cut open to get Eve. And Adam is the same one saying, I'm going to cut myself open to add her to my life. So
Yeah.
again, it's full circle. Anyway, just thought about that. But so it's a double meaning that I'm willing to sacrifice myself so that me and this person can become one. And so, yeah, the sacrifice part, which you already talked about, the sacrifice part is the hard part. Are we really willing to sacrifice some of our needs, some of our wants, so that we can make sure that this relationship stays what it is, so that nothing gets in between it? And that's the idea. I think the hardest part is pride. In my life, the hardest time for cleaving is my pride. I want what I want.
Right.
I think I'm right. I think we should do it this way. And not even like a biblical stance. This is what God is calling us to do. No, this is me being prideful and I want what I want. The first couple years of our marriage were really rough. Well, that first year was really rough because I wanted to do things the way I wanted to do things without even considering my wife. I wasn't thinking about her. I wasn't understanding her, and sometimes wasn't even trying to. I just wanted her to do it my way. And it was that pride that got in the way of us cleaving. So I think for most people, that's probably it, pride. But I mean, that's mine.
That's good.
It's the sacrifice. It's
Yeah.
I have to go into a support role so that she can flourish into who she needs to be.
Yeah.
Or for us, I have to go into a support role while she heals from the things that have been going on in her past, which means I don't necessarily get to do. I think that's the hardest part was, wait, so now I don't get to do what I want to do because of the stuff that's happened in her past, or I now have to take a step back and allow this. And what you don't see is on the other end of what happens when that healing happens and the growth and all of that. But it's very easy to just go, man, the moment my plans get altered, the future that I hoped for gets altered. That's the moment where it's tough to cleave. It's the moment where it's tough to go, oh, wait, this is me and you, not just me.
Yeah.
And
That's
tough.
it's selfishness. I
Yeah.
mean, it's selfishness. I mean, we want to do it our way, and marriage is not about that. It's a continual process of negotiation and compromise and yielding to the other person. You know, it's not just submitting to the man. it's submitting to one another.
Right.
You know, listening. What are her interests, and so it's really, boy, you realize how selfish. You don't realize how selfish you are till you get married.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
marriage is a
marriage.
mirror and a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
Marriage reveals selfishness, and then kids.
Oh, even
Every
more-
single
yeah.
kid, you realize, oh, I'm a little bit more selfish than I thought I was.
Yeah.
But it's so true. It's so funny. You said it in the message immediately. My wife nudged me was when you're like, your wife wants to see your whole face.
Yeah.
You know, meaning she wants you fully engaged. She's like, yep. I'm like, yeah, I know. You want to share your hopes and your dreams.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say too, man. There are so many tools out there. I mean, we only get to talk about it for
Yeah.
5-week series on relationship, 3 on marriage. Some of our people only come twice a month, so man, go back. If God started touching something in your heart, there's great resources out there, man. You know, get a hold of some of these resources and let it be something that encourages you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, through our groups, we have Communication Reset, and there's plenty of
Right Now
groups and
Media.
people. Yep.
If you guys don't know what Right Now Media is,
Yeah.
it's basically a Netflix of Christian resources.
Yeah.
And we've provided it.
Yep.
We paid for it. For everyone
We
at
do.
Grace Family Church can have it
Yep.
for free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can
And
put
has
the info
great children's
below.
programming on it too. I'll just say that too. But yeah.
It's all good.
Awesome. Well, you're going to leave us on a cliffhanger, Daryl, with the last 4 things. What do you think? They have to do the first 4.
They've got
right?
to go through the first 4.
Yeah.
We got 2 minutes, so he's got to do it in 2.
Oh, you want to buzz through it?
I'll just tell you so we got love God, love each other,
Uh-huh.
play hard, protect them, promise, communicate often, forgive every day,
Mm-hmm.
share everything, and be intentional.
That's good.
Love it.
It's a lot of homework.
It is. So
Awesome.
one at a time.
Well,
Okay.
yes. Don't try to do everything at once.
One.
Well,
at
that
a
is
time.
awesome. Thank you guys. We really appreciate your time each week on the Pastor's Hangover. And thank you guys for joining us. We will see you next week.